it's Ace. Before we get to this week's edition of the Ace at Large podcast, you'll see we got some fancy banners behind us. I'm wearing a jacket to cover up my t-shirt that I'm wearing underneath this. We've done a lot of work here to make the Ace at Large podcast spectacular. All we need now is you. We need you and your stories of what you're going through in life, how you're coping with things in life, what you've overcome in life, and any advice that you may have to make lives better for everybody else who may be experiencing something similar. So all the information is down here on the screen. Want you to go, send me a message, check it out, and hope you enjoy this week's Ace at Large podcast.
This is the Radio Button Network. And this is the new Ace at Large podcast. Now, your host, Ace.
Yeah, Ernest Hemingway said, "We're all broken. That's how the light gets in." Look, let's face it. You are a part of this family for the Ace at Large podcast because we're all dealing with something in some way. We're all broken in some fashion. We're fighting something. We're trying to overcome something. We're trying to better ourselves. We're trying to put our grief behind us, whatever it might be. That doesn't matter. No matter what we're fighting, the fight sometimes can take us to a dark place, a place we find ourselves stuck in, caught up in. Like quicksand sometimes. The harder you try to work to get out of the dark place, the worse it becomes. Scared to move forward out of the dark place because you know what's there, but moving back out into the light means moving on. We always don't know if it's okay to leave whatever it is that troubles us behind completely. So whatever you're struggling with doesn't matter. However long it's been, however long you've been fighting, none of that matters. It's time to let the light in. Today's the day we move forward. Today's the day that you say, you know what? Today I'm going to put one foot in front of the other and begin to move myself forward. Why? It's because of one thing, the seriously important sense of humor. That's right. The seriously important sense of humor. Few things are more important in the process of moving forward in life than the sense of humor. So how do we do that? How do we move forward? Why is it so important? Why is the sense of humor so important? I'll explain next.
There's more of the new Ace at Large podcast next.
The Ace and TJ family is always on your phone on the Papa John's Ace and TJ app. Available at the Apple App Store, Google Play, and Amazon Marketplace.
Welcome back to the new Ace at Large podcast.
So today we're talking about the seriously important sense of humor. Here's something funny. I visited my daughter this weekend. I know that's odd. I visited my daughter's gravesite for the first time since I had been in Louisiana for her burial in August. A variety of reasons. Number one being it wasn't until the memorial, the headstone, however you want to call it, wasn't put in until December. I couldn't travel then due to COVID restrictions because of the fact that I was about to leave to go to Jamaica to get married. So there I am for the first time at the completed site. The first time I had gone home specifically to go visit her grave, so to speak, if you don't count the burial, in August. And look, it was sad. It hurt. Really hard to leave. And I think anybody that's in this situation understands it's hard to leave because you feel like you're leaving this person behind. And I talked to her and I cried a lot. I missed her. Whew, man, it's if your heart breaks all over again, going back for something like that, because there's a permanence in seeing it this time that was different from the last time that I was there. You know, it was as if your heart breaks all over again because you leave her there, and that's the hardest part. But you know what else I did? I went to a crawfish boil. Met some new people at a crawfish boil that my friend was involved in that I've known forever and had a great time. I visited with my mom, my sister, my nephew, and had a great time. I showed my wife, Amanda, my son, Cade, around my hometown some more and had a great time. I talked to friends. I spent time with family. I had a great time. And therein comes the question, what are we going to do? Are we going to fold up and live in the darkness and just wither away and die? Or are we going to live? I'm going to share something with you. This is a clip. It's about a minute long from my daughter's eulogy. This is me giving part of the eulogy at my daughter's funeral in August.
Wednesday night, after all this had happened, I said out loud, just to no one in particular, what do I do now? What do I do now? And immediately the answer occurred to me is, man, I'm going to live. I'm going to live for Peyton. Cade's going to live for Peyton. Everybody in this room, all of her friends, you got a lot to do because you're going to live for Peyton now. Because she's, you say was, but it's what Peyton is. Peyton is in all of our hearts. She was a blessing that God gave us for the time that she was here. Peyton laughed loud, and you're not going to have to laugh a little bit louder. Peyton loved with all of her heart. When she loved something or loved somebody, she loved with all of her heart. And you're going to have to find a way to open your heart a little bit wider to more people, because that's what Peyton would do. And you're going to hug a little bit tighter, and you're going to help a few more people, and you're going to be a little bit kinder, and you're going to make someone else's life better, because that's what she was going to do, and that's who she wanted to be.
It's overdone to say that this is what they would have wanted. I get sick of hearing that. Oh, this is what they would have wanted. This is how they would have wanted it. Look, but this is what they would have wanted. You know what's going to get you through? Life is going to get you through. Humor, excitement, laughter, joy. Here's one thing to remember. Whatever it is you're experiencing, whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is you're struggling with, here's what's okay. Feeling okay. It's okay to feel okay. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to laugh. It's okay to think happy thoughts. It's okay to be a success. I mean, this is information we can use as much for our daily lives in general as we can for coping with whatever it is that we're fighting against on a daily basis. It is okay to live, to experience joy, to laugh at ourselves. It's not just okay, actually. It's not just okay. It's what we need to do, because that's what life is. It's what we should do, because that's what's going to get us through. Important fact, you need to remember, there is strength in living. There is strength in laughing. There is strength in joy. Being happy, laughing, thinking happy thoughts, being successful. These things will give you the strength to get through. And we need that strength now more than ever. Every time we laugh and experience love and experience joy, it is like going to the gym for our soul. You work out your body to get healthier. Why not work out your soul to get healthier? It's very simple. If you're thinking, well, this person has passed away and I really can't go on, or I'm still struggling with this, I don't know if it's okay for me to feel okay right now. It is. It is, because it always is. It's okay for you to feel good about yourself. It's okay for you to be proud of yourself for what it is you've accomplished. It's okay to be happy. And what makes you happy? Laughing makes everybody happy. Joy makes everybody happy, as dumb as that sounds. It's okay to feel okay. We got to do it. We have to do it. It really is, the overblown, what they wanted you to do. This is what they'd want. Well, in this case, it is. Nobody that you loved or cared for wants you to be sad all the time, wants you to feel terrible about yourself all the time. Nobody wants you to feel like you're living your life stuck in quicksand and you really can't move for fear that something else bad is going to happen. That's not what anybody that you cared about, who cared about you, wants. No one, not one. You work out your body to get healthier. You got to work out your soul now to get your mind healthier, to get your body healthier, to get yourself healthier emotionally and mentally. You work out your body to get healthier. Why not work out your soul to get healthier? That's it. And it hit me over the weekend. Yeah, I went to my daughter's grave and I cried. And 10 minutes later, we left. We were laughing, and we were laughing while standing there telling stories about her and talking about her. She'd hate this, she'd love that. There's different things that we laughed about. That's okay. That's okay. I remember going to, when I was in college, right after college, a friend of mine from high school, I'd known her forever. her father died unexpectedly. And 4 of us went to the funeral, went to the wake the night before the funeral. And we were sitting there talking to her, and we just started, all people, we'd known each other since middle school. And we all started talking and telling stories and laughing. And I remember looking around the room at the wake and feeling like people were staring at us. Not just because I had, really long hair and earrings at that point in my life, but because we were laughing. And I remember after we were leaving and I went over and hugged her mom and I said, hey, I'm sorry. We were talking about the fact it got a little loud. We didn't mean to. We were just having fun. And she goes, that was the best thing that could have happened to her was y'all being here. And that made me feel proud. That made me feel good. And I thought about that the other day, the reminder of the importance of that. You got to keep going. There is strength in living. There is strength in laughing. There is strength in joy. These things will make you stronger because anything that makes you healthier makes you stronger. And these are things that we need emotionally to get stronger. So don't shy away from those things. It's okay to feel okay. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be a success. Give your soul a little bit of a workout and give yourself a little bit of a break because you can't keep that up for the rest of your life. No matter how long it's been, it's time to move forward. It's time for you to start finding happiness somewhere in life and start finding joy somewhere in life. And just the decision to do it will make all the difference in the world. I was amazingly touched by a couple of messages this week that proved to me once again that what I am going through in life and have been going through in life and what has become the reason for this Ace at Large podcast pales in comparison to what others are going through. It's a reminder, I think, to all of us not to feel sorry for ourselves. And if anything, it's a reminder how important the seriously important sense of humor actually is. I want to share the message with you, and hopefully you'll see the same importance, and it will probably kind of blow your mind. Next.
There's more of the new Ace at Large podcast next.
Hey, it's Ace, and right now when you bundle Killingsworth's termite protection with pest control, you can save over $200 a year. Visit them at thebiggreenk.com. And remember, your family and home are Killings worth it.
Welcome back to the new Ace at Large podcast.
All right, so how bad is it? It can be pretty bad at times, whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever it is you're going through, whether it's grief or divorce. Like, I can tell you from personal experience, when it comes to divorce, if you're struggling with a divorce or something like that, it's a breakup, man, at some point you've got to make that decision to live life again because it's tough. It sucks. It will. But that sadness or whatever, that will bring you down and it will ruin everything. And you've got to, at some point, disengage from that. At some point, if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol, you got to let it go, things you've done in the past. And quite honestly, you got to find a way to laugh about them. You've got to find a way to laugh at yourself and the insanity of whatever your life may have been that brought you to this point, because this is the point where you start to get better. But I got a couple of messages this week, and I love it so much when everybody sends messages. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, it's at Ace at Large. Facebook is David Ace Cannon. I love to hear from you, and I've mentioned before that I love the messages, but let me share a couple of things that I've really been touched by recently. This guy, keep him anonymous, sent me a message, said, hey, thank you. I've been listening to y'all since you were in Huntsville. We worked in Huntsville, Alabama from 95 to 97. He said, but recently I've had issues with understanding PTSD. I'm getting help now. But this morning, I'd missed a few things on the show for a while, and I decided to YouTube what I missed. Well, long story short, in YouTubing, he came across the YouTube version of the Ace at Large podcast. And he said, I'm so sorry for the loss of your daughter. I have a 12-year-old that I've grown apart from because of PTSD, since I don't want closeness or feelings. Thank you for opening up because I will now work harder. And he concluded with Roll Tide. Aside from the Roll Tide thing. Won't hold that against you. Think about that. Think about that situation. He's got a daughter. She's 12. God, I remember my daughter at 12 was such a light in my life and a part of my day. My son at 12 was just this silly, fun, wonderful person that I can't imagine not wanting to be around them. So he knows he's struggling with something that is very, 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 very difficult. PTSD. That's a really, really, really hard thing to work with. But he doesn't want closeness and he doesn't want feelings because of it. But yet now he's decided, I'm going to work a little harder on this. There's nothing more that I could ask from this podcast than for this guy to end up working a little bit harder and somehow having a relationship with his 12-year-old daughter. That would be amazing. The crazy thing is, I hear this and I think, well, I think this is far worse than what I've experienced in life. I mean, what a torturous thing to have to experience mentally and emotionally. And I pray for this guy. I hope it works out great. But I think that's more difficult. I really think it is. I think it's one of those things that reminds you that there's always somebody who's worse off than you. Another message. Hey, I've been listening to you guys since I was in college and recently came across your podcast. Thank you for being willing to be open and transparent because that helps those who listen, who went through personal loss, especially last year. I've personally wrestled with anxiety, and over the last 2 years, 2 family members I had a very close bond with, and sometimes I grieve that loss. But I also think about the good times I had with them, and that helps a lot. Exactly. This seriously important sense of humor. You think about the good times. You remember the good times. You know what? What they don't want? For you to stop having good times. I know that. In my heart of hearts, that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. I think about my dad, and my dad was 72 when he died 9 years ago. And we talked often about when he had some physical issues leading up before that, even though we were kind of surprised when he died of a stroke. And we talked about the fact that whatever happens, you got to keep living. Don't sit around and cry for me is what he would always say. Don't let nobody cry for me. And my dad would even say, the minute you put me on a machine, go ahead and pull that plug. I want everybody to move on with life and start having a good time again. And he talked about how at his wake and his funeral, he wanted everybody to tell fun stories about him and tell all their crazy, funny stories and laugh and have a great time. That's it. Those good times, those memories, that's what's going to help you keep going. But you also have to have a determination that I'm going to make more of those in the future because it's good for your soul. Feeds you a little bit. We all need that. I want your triumphs. I want to hear how you're overcoming your tragedies. And if you haven't overcome yet, that's fine. How are you coping? If you got ideas, questions, comments, always welcome. My Facebook again, David Ace Cannon. Twitter, Instagram, @AceAtLarge. I'm really excited for you to hear the story on next week's podcast. It's rare that we do this, but we taped this one a week ago. And wow, you want to hear a story of somebody who went from everything in life being positive and everything in life coming up roses to the exact opposite in a tragedy that's hard to even fathom for somebody her age. And how she's coming through. Man, it's a great story next week. I cannot wait to share with you. And remember this. The reason I ask you to share with me, the reason I'm here sharing with you, is because one day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you're going through now. And it will become someone else's survival guide. That's why we're here. One day we will look back on all of this and laugh because we can. And that is going to be a glorious day. God bless you. I'll see you next week.
This is the new Ace at Large podcast. The new Ace at Large podcast will be back next Thursday.